Yo, peace. I'm gonna talk about the Illuminati and blood sacrifices because this is also like a thing that kind of fucked people up with hip hop. Because the moment the Illuminati came on, everybody started thinking, people like Jay-Z, Rihanna, Kanye West, they're part of this secret society and just doing shit and destroying communities and doing all these things. So I just want to clear up a couple things about the Illuminati and blood sacrifices, because we have this impression that the Illuminatis are the ones who's pulling the strings behind the scenes. Basically, they have all the power and everything, and they are within a secret society which deals with hidden knowledge and bloodlines and all these things. And the biggest thing is rituals. That they always participate in rituals, whether it be like Hollywood movies or certain situations that happen and we think somebody died, or they really faked their death, or however deep you want to go with it. But the biggest thing is fear, because if it wasn't about fear, then nobody would really care. If it wasn't about Satan and the devil and death, because that's basically what a blood sacrifice is, dealing with death. If it wasn't all these things that people are already scared of, they wouldn't give a fuck. If people weren't already scared of nature, Satan, if people weren't already scared of these things, then the Illuminati potentially wouldn't have any power. So the first thing is, people use the fear as an excuse to not do anything, because they feel, well, if I speak the truth, then they're gonna lock me up, or they're gonna hire somebody to kill me, or whatever the case is. So the Illuminati got most people shook. That's why they just talk about it, but everybody feels helpless. Nobody wants to do anything about it. Well, what can we do? You know what I'm saying? So everybody has this fear-based, hopeless mentality that they can't do anything about it. So the first thing I want to deal with is Satan. The devil, Lucifer, evil spirits, and all these things. To get rid of the fear of Satan or the devil, just embrace your devil. We all are devils, and we all are gods. We are both. That's what makes the human unpredictable. That's what makes us also so powerful, because we are both. We can do the greatest good as well as the greatest evil. And there is no right or wrong, no good or bad. It just is what it is. But we have the potential to do all of these things. So my thing would be to embrace Satan. Embrace the devil. Don't run from him. He ain't going nowhere. He, she, it, whatever spirit. That energy is going to be here. It isn't going anywhere. So if you spend your life running from Satan and it's never even going anywhere, how about trying to get to know the energy? How about familiarizing yourself with the energy? It's going to be here anyway. Might as well make a connection with it and see what it's really about with your own eyes and with your own heart, your own ears. You get what I'm saying? Just draw your own conclusion about it, as opposed to linking it to all these bad things, with the Bible and the media and all these things. Just read an article about what Satan is from different perspectives, a religious perspective, but also a metaphysical perspective, an occult perspective. What the Gnostics think of Satan, what the Sufis think of Satan, people who study Kabbalah, what do they think of Satan? People who study Egypt, all the conscious people, what are their views on Satan? What are their views on Lucifer? Most likely it's not the same. So once we get past this, Satan is a devil and it's evil, and the energy, it is what it is. It's perfectly fine. If anything is linked with, some people link it, with the goat of Mendez, the goat head, the inverted pentagram. That's talking about, flesh over spirit and all. People always make all these assumptions, but at the end of the day, what's wrong with a goat? What's wrong with a spirit? What a goat ever do to you? What horns ever did to you? What has an animal ever done? You get what I'm saying? See, most like scary images that we see, it always goes back to an animal. the horns, the ruthlessness, the I don't give a fuck feeling. Like, that all goes back to animals. So really, that primordial self, that lower self that everybody talks about, that's what's really being shoved in our faces. The fact that we are devils, the fact that we are evil, the fact that we are sinners, the fact that we are killers, drug dealers. You get what I'm saying? We may not be that personally, but we know that we are capable of being those things. Then it goes to the sign of Libra, because when you think about a goat, you think about Libra, because Libra shows the scales. But before it was the scales, it was a goat, because a goat is the one who carried the two scales. You get what I'm saying? I know you've seen a picture of a goat, having, two scales on its neck. So the reason why it's scales, the Libra is scales, is because, like, if you look at every other zodiac sign, it deals with an animal or like a mythological creature. It's the Libra that only deals with something man-made, which is a scale. Now, the reason the Libra is a scale is because it takes thought and it takes your mind to bring balance into your reality. That's just not something that's granted to you just because. That's something that you have to work towards. So that's why it's a man-made object, meaning it just requires thought. So then we're going to go into, with the Illuminati, we think of them as, when they do rituals, they have like dark robes and hoods, and, they do ceremony magic. And what ceremony magic is basically like a church event. It's like an event, maybe like an hour-long ritual or whatever. It could be, a sex ritual. It could just be, chanting, summoning demons or spirits or whatever the case is. So we just have to get out of this mindset of there's something wrong with spirits. Spirits just do whatever they're summoned to do. We can create spirits. We can create entities. We have the power to bring life into any entity. No spirit has life on its own without you. We give the power to the spirits. That's why they say they require blood sacrifices, meaning they require energy. They don't just they're not just going around the planet doing shit. They require energy, and they require some type of purpose. See, we would know this if we study demons, if we study spirits, but most people are too scared to even go into that. You know what I'm saying? How many people study demonology? How many people even know a name of a spirit besides Satan? You get what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of ignorance that can easily be cleared up with just a little knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So the next thing is, most of the time it's dealing with your subconscious, because your subconscious is programmed either by repetition, trauma, or symbols. And that's mainly what the Illuminati uses, the so-called Illuminati. They be doing like the hand signals and, talking in code and, doing all these things that, spook people out. But at the end of the day, they make an impression on your subconscious mind because it's so out of the box and it's so out of the ordinary, and people don't understand it, that it brings about fear because they don't get it. Because if the Illuminati just looked like everyday people, nobody would give a fuck. But because they got all this ceremonial shit going around, that's what makes it like above and makes people think they're just all powerful. It's just really a secret society of many secret societies. It's not really, they're just a popular secret society because of, with Hollywood and everything. But at the end of the day, it really has nothing to do with us on a daily basis. Now, going into death, and blood sacrifices, death is the highest vibration because that's the vibration you are on when you are born, and that's the vibration you're on when you die. That's when DMT is secreted from your pineal gland at life, at death, sometimes near-death experience, or if you take the actual drug. Those are really the only times that chemical is secreted. So obviously, it deals with higher, dealing with, being on a higher realm and everything. So most people are not on that vibration because they are afraid of death. And to reach certain vibrations, you have to become one with death. You yourself must take the place of death. Meaning, who do you think is out here killing people? Humans, right? Most people are not just dying in their sleep and dying from sickness. There are a lot of people that do, but a lot of people die by human hands. And it has to be that way, and it's always been that way. Everybody is not just going to die naturally. If you are courageous enough to take life with your own hands, to become one with death, and to actually play the role of the angel of death, which so many of us have done, whether you joined the army or you became a game banger, whatever the case is, this has been going on forever. So if you are actually courageous enough to take the role of the angel of death, you become one with death and you operate on the highest vibration. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people who are one with death die young. We see it, with a Tupac, with a Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc., etc., etc. Everybody who was killed or supposedly killed, who knows. When you are one with death, you have a certain lifestyle that people envy. People were envious of, great people. Not because they necessarily did anything special, but because they were operating at the highest vibration. And yes, that includes the highest of all things. But at the same time, you are kind of sacrificing your life for that. Maybe. Everybody don't end up dead. Everybody don't end up in jail. But a lot of us do. But that's not everybody's fate. But when you are operating on that vibration, then it's no wonder why gang bangers and drug dealers, they have this extravagant lifestyle. But at the end of the day, they're paying for it by being in that culture. When you are within that culture, you basically put your life down every day. Same thing with cops. When you put yourself in the line of fire every day, why not live life to the fullest? Why not have the most beautiful of all things, or at least strive to have those? Because you never know where you're going to go. You're not living life like you're supposed to be here tomorrow. You're living life, well, this may be my last day, so let me live it up. You get what I'm saying? So that's just the mentality people take. And the last thing I want to talk about is drugs, because most of the time when you're dealing with rituals and secret societies and occult information, drugs are going to be around. And the drugs put us more in tune with our spiritual sides, with our higher selves. If you ever had the feeling of being watched, which most of us have, that was your higher self. That was a greater aspect of yourself. And sometimes, it makes you fearful, it makes you scared. But at the end of the day, when you come to the realization that it's just you're looking at yourself, you're feeling your own energy on a greater scale, you will become more and more relaxed with it. And then you will have access to more things happening to you. Because a lot of people try to lucid dream and astral travel, and I know I'm supposed to be making videos about those, but I feel like you have to have a certain mentality before you can experience these things. Because a lot of us experience these things randomly, but if you want to be doing these things on a daily basis or on a more frequent basis, you have to alleviate your fear. You have to let go of the fear. You can't be scared to communicate with spirits. You can't be scared to die. You can't be scared of what may or may not happen, or your mind might go crazy. All these things that we think that may happen, this is why we block ourselves from reaching higher levels, because we are fearful. Like, you only can go as far as you can handle. You will not be able to access certain realms if you can't handle it. Like, most people get, shooken up by having nightmares. So if you think nightmares are crazy, just imagine, being on a DMT trip and, really seeing some real shit for real. You know what I mean? Most people ain't built to even experience that shit. So I just really wanted to touch on that real quick about, the Illuminati, the blood sacrifices. And at the end of the day, these are all concepts that we all can be familiar with and we can all embrace. This is not just no devilish bullshit. And even if it is still a part of us. It is still something we should learn and should know. It shouldn't just be hidden because we're scared of it. So that's what it is. Peace. Hold up.